We're less than a week away from one of the best fight nights of the year, Whittaker versus De Ridder. We're back in Abu Dhabi, and it's time for me to give my breakdown and predictions for every single fight on this card. A lot of incredible fights. Unfortunately, we lost the Movsar Evloev-Aaron Pico fight. Hopefully, the UFC moves that to 319. But this card is still incredible. We have the return of two GOATs, Petr Yan and Robert Whittaker. Let's see if Petr Yan can hold that top 10 spot down. We just got a lot of solid fights. Bryce Mitchell debut at bantamweight. The crafty vet, Davy Grant. We've even got the absolute marauder, Martin Buday, training partner of Tommy Aspinall. Is he going to beat Marcus Buchecha? We'll find out, but first and foremost, have you been struggling to lose fat? You keep telling yourself you're going to get in the gym, you're going to stick to a diet, but you associate those two things with misery. Well, I've made it my purpose to come up with a simple and effective cookbook and workout plan for beginners to help you get results so that you can stop procrastinating on your fitness journey. Instead of these boring, bland foods that you're used to eating, you can eat tasty comfort foods with whole and unprocessed ingredients. And in that cookbook, recipes ranging from breakfast to dessert, and the novice lifting program to make things easy and simple in the gym. It's a 12-week program, and by the time you're finished with it, you will have a much better understanding of how to go about training on your own. Again, these are programs that I've made myself, and they will guarantee you better results than whatever you're doing now, unless you're already in insane shape, and then therefore you may not need to hop on them. But if you're not in good shape and you want to get in better shape, you could try it out. The link is in the description. Make sure to use code MMA for a 30% discount. Let's get into these fights. Martin Buday versus Marcus Buchecha. We did an hour and a half breakdown on the boxing channel. Some of you guys have already seen that. I talked about Martin Buday's overwhelming pressure style, and we went into the weeds on Marcus Buchecha's body lock triangle. And this is a really interesting fight because I think a lot of people are going to look at this and they're going to think that Martin Buday is going to be a walkover for Buchecha. Buchecha's getting a lot of hype from the jiu-jitsu community. He's one of these big, almost looks kind of sauced out, roided out, to be honest, but he's probably going to be natty in the UFC. There's, more strict drug testing. But either way, he's one of these guys that looks like he's straight out of the heavyweight jiu-jitsu tournaments that you usually see where these guys are taking a lot of gear. He's big, he's pretty lean for a heavyweight, and of course, it's rare that we see extremely high-level heavyweight grapplers, and Martin Buday, he's going to be a problem, man. He's going to be a problem, but I'm still thinking Marcus Buchecha is going to walk all over him, okay? I said maybe Martin Buday is not going to be a walkover, but I actually think he is, okay? I think Marcus Buchecha is going to take down Martin Buday, whose style is to get in your face and break you up against the clinch. You're going to clinch with Marcus Buchecha, whose bread and butter is to get a hold of you, to take you down and smother you. Like, that's just a horrible base to have in your MMA game, especially if you're like a low-tier level heavyweight and we're expecting you to do well. We can't expect you to do well. This is a nightmare matchup for Martin Buday. I think Marcus Buchecha, he's going to struggle with heavyweights that have decent takedown defense, but, I mean, who are those guys? Those are like guys in the top 10. This should be a first-round submission, easy for Marcus Buchecha. Let's get on to the next one. Muhammad Yahya versus Steven Nugent. Muhammad Yahya, man, he's an absolute maestro in the feet. No, I'm joking. I'm going with Steven Nugent. He's actually gone to war a couple of times, and I talked about this in my post-fight recap for UFC 318. I say, we have to start using the term post-war aura. There are fighters that go to war, and even if they lose it, as long as they have a scrappy fight, I guess it's because it shows that they can impose their will. They gain aura from it because they were in a really entertaining fight, and we assume that even the guy that lost because he put up a tough scrap, he's really good. I'll be honest, Steven Nugent has that post-war aura. I forget exactly who he had a war with, but he did have a war not too long ago, and that is why I'm picking him. So I am falling into the hands of the post-war aura, okay? But either way, I'm going to trust in that because Muhammad Yahya has just done nothing but lose. Even heading into the UFC, he wasn't a promising prospect. He lost to Trevor Peek, didn't really have any success, got destroyed in the first round in his last outing. I think Steven Nugent is going to win this via imposing his will, being gritty and being tough and being a little bit faster. He's a pretty slick striker. I just don't see Muhammad Yahya winning this fight. Let's get on to the next one. Billy Elikana versus Ibo Aslan. I don't know what the odds are for this, but I'm assuming people are picking Ibo Aslan. I'm going with Billy Elikana. I'm picking Billy Elikana. I know he lost his UFC debut, but he took it on short notice, and he took it against Bogdan Guskov. And he actually looked pretty good. And I remember he was moving up from middleweight to take that fight. Now he has actually made the permanent move to light heavyweight, which is great because I said Billy Elikana, he lost that on short notice, gassed out after a round, but looked very fast, looked pretty technical early on. And I said, if this guy can just stick with light heavyweight and have a full training camp, I think he's going to do pretty well. And so I'm going to pick him. I don't think Ibo Aslan is that good. Ibo Aslan, he beat Anton Turcal, who's just not good. That guy's done nothing but lose in the UFC. He got cut from the UFC. He just lost to Ion Cutelaba. Let's just be honest about Ion Cutelaba. He's not that good, okay? Ibo Aslan is like a worse, less effective, slightly less dangerous version of Ion Cutelaba. And I just think that he's going to... The only advantage he has in this is size and power. I think Billy Elikana wins this via being fast, having that lighter man skill. Don't be surprised if we see Billy Elikana pull out some lighter man's grappling. And I'm going to bank on the guy that looked promising against a better fighter in Bogdan Guskov. I'm going to bank on him getting the win over the Marauder merchant, Ibo Aslan. Okay? He's got a couple of KOs, so what? I mean, they're against terrible levels of competition. I think Billy Elikana, he looked very good in the first round against Bogdan. I think he's getting this one done by decision. I think he's going to be too fast for Ibo. And Ibo's not a grappler, so I just don't think the size and strength factor is really going to play much into this. So let's get on to the next one. Amanda Ribas versus Tabitha Ricci. I think Amanda Ribas is going to win this one. All right, listen, Tabitha Ricci, she is a grappler for the most part, but Amanda Ribas is sort of at that level in women's MMA, women's strawweight, where she's got somewhere with all on the ground. I just think Tabitha Ricci's not good anywhere. She's kind of like a Marvin Vettori. She's kind of mid everywhere, but because it's women's MMA, mid everywhere is sort of like above average everywhere compared to the other women. So she's not bad, but Amanda Ribas is more well-rounded. She's more dangerous on the feet. She's a little faster. I'm going to pick her to win this fight. I think she's getting it done by razor close decision. She's also a little bit grittier. I've never seen Tabitha Ricci actually go to war. Tabitha Ricci is one of these girls that's more prone to have that stand at range shadowboxing kind of style, whereas Amanda Ribas is actually going to go into the fire, and I like that a little bit when it comes to WMMA. Let's get on to the next one. This is a good fight. This is an amazing fight, but it pains me to pick against my brother Davey Grant. It pains me to go against one of the craftiest vets in the UFC. Davey Grant's the epitome of a crafty, grizzled vet. I mean, he even has the face of someone this guy literally just looks like a crafty guy, right? He's got the physique of a crafty vet. He's sort of got the old man look. And he's unassuming, but he is a phenomenal striker, even in his old age. He's got so many different tools in his tool bag. Kicks, great combinations. He's got so many techniques on the feet. He's high output. He's fast. And most importantly, he's got a granite chin. The problem, though, is that we've been impressed with Davey Grant's striking. He's been able to go out there and outstrike decent strikers like Adrian Yanez. And I forget the guy Ramon Tavares is the guy he beat last. The problem is Damon Blackshear. I don't think he's going to get smoked on the feet because in his last fight, he actually looked really, really solid. Like Damon Blackshear has leveled up. He went from being a slow poke on the feet, looking like he's fighting in slow motion, to having a Davey Grant-ish style where he's utilizing a lot of kicks. I mean, we saw him in his last fight throwing jumping kicks, like jumping front kicks to the body, and just a very comfortable and versatile striking game. Super high output, looked faster than ever. And then on top of that, he's just got good grappling. He's a strong bantamweight. And ultimately, I think that even though I think that Davy Grant is going to be able to slightly outstrike Damone Blackshear, I think Damone Blackshear's striking is improved enough to where he can make it close. But with the threat of the takedown, he might even be able to outstrike Davy Grant. And always, he'll have the opportunity to just take Davy Grant down. And I mean, listen, I know we like Davy Grant, but have we really seen many people test his grappling? Not really. So I just think Damone Blackshear is going to go out there. If he struggles on the feet at all, he's going to get a takedown. He's got a great submission game. He's got really good control. I think he's going to win this fight by decision. So I think he's going to mix it up. It pains me to say that because I'm rooting for Davy Grant, and I hope he gets this one done, but I just think this is a tough fight. I think Damone Blackshear reached a new level in his last fight, and yeah, that's enough for me to pick him in this fight against Davy Grant. If he looked terrible on the feet, as he usually has in the past, I would pick Davy Grant, but no, Damone Blackshear's improved enough. I'm picking him by decision. Let's get on to the next fight. Carlos Leal, one of the most promising welterweight prospects, versus Muslim Salikov. Haven't done a lot of training with Muslim Salikov, I have to say that. I have trained with him in the past. As I've always said, he's a no-bullshit guy. Muslim Salikov, I talk about Magomed Ankalaev as sort of the jokester, the trickster in the gym. Muslim Salikov's no bullshit. But he's a dense guy. Very dense, sort of confused at times. You don't want to startle him. Unfortunately, I just think Carlos Leal is the worst guy for Muslim Salikov. Muslim Salikov needs to get hit a couple of times to wake up, right? There needs to be an alarm clock moment. Waking up old, worn down dog Muslim Salikov. There's got to be an alarm clock moment. And I just think that Carlos Leal's a hammer of an alarm clock. He's going to put you out. He's the alarm clock that knocks you out so you don't actually wake up. So, Carlos Leal's a fast starter. He just butchered Alex Morono. And Muslim Salikov, he's been chinned a couple of times. He's old, cobbles around a little bit. Every now and then he'll throw a spinning wheel kick that can knock out a freaking horse. But still, I just think that Carlos Leal, you look at what he did to Rinat Fakhretdinov on short notice, mind you. He went out there and beat up Rinat Fakhretdinov, who shot like 30 takedowns. Rinat Fakhretdinov had like a poor man's Merab Dvalishvili versus Petr Yan kind of performance where he was throwing tons of output. He's got heavy hands, and he shot like 30 takedowns. Carlos Leal, his sprawl and brawl game is unbelievable. Brick wall takedown defense, tons of power, speed, in his prime, improving, old man. I mean, this is basically the exact same level as Alex Morono, just a little bit more dangerous. Again, you don't want to startle Muslim Salikov, but I think Carlos Leal is going to knock him out in the first round. He's patient. He's capable of being patient, but I think he's going to pour it on. If he lands something early, I think he's going to pour it on when he sees Muslim Salikov wobble around, right? Salikov's got to do a 30-second wobble in order to really wake up, and I just don't think he'll even get to the 30-second mark once he gets tagged. So, Carlos Leal, first round KO. This guy's dangerous. I don't see anyone around the Muslim Salikov level having a chance to beat him. Let's get on to Bryce Mitchell versus Said Nurmagomedov. Lighter man skill, Said Nurmagomedov versus Bryce Mitchell, who, let's be honest, has the striking of a 2010s fighter. The average Joe, he has the striking of like a grappler from the 2010s. However, I know he dropped Edson Barbosi, by the way, but either way, I'm picking Bryce Mitchell, okay? I'm actually going to go with Bryce Mitchell, and this is why. Said Nurmagomedov's gas tank is horrible. He's one of these Dagestanis. He's sort of like a poor man's Zabit, right? because he's got this really dynamic style. He's obviously very slick with his striking. He's got all of these crazy kicks, and he's got a slick submission game, so he can put you in a submission. He can snatch up your neck on the feet really fast. But it seems that after the first round in every single one of his fights, he just comes crashing down and he gasses. So on top of that, he's got little power in his hands. He doesn't have a lot of pop. He's got these great kicks and he can rock you with a kick, but he doesn't have a lot of pop in his hands. I know that we just saw him lose to Vinicius Oliveira, and Vinicius Oliveira is one of those guys that even though he looks kind of sloppy and he doesn't look that good, you kind of know that he hits super hard, and he's one of those guys, sort of like a bantamweight Dricus du Plessis, where he looks sloppy, but he's obviously like a real bitch to deal with. But I'm picking Bryce because I think that if Said Nurmagomedov can't get him out of there in the first round, and we have seen Bryce Mitchell get submitted before, it's not like he's impossible to submit, right? He didn't even get rocked before he got submitted in his last fight against Gene Silva, and on top of that, he doesn't even have the best gas tank. But I think that Bryce Mitchell is one of the few guys that can actually move down a weight class and be sort of okay. And this is why he's very small for featherweight. He's very small for featherweight, right? And even though he looks slow in the striking of featherweight, and it's going to be even more evident now, because Said Nurmagomedov is going to speed mog Bryce Mitchell, I think that Bryce Mitchell in the second and third round is going to get a hold of Said Nurmagomedov, who's capable of good grappling, of course, but he's not actually a Team Khabib guy. He's actually, for the most part, a striker. I think that Bryce Mitchell is going to run a wrestling-heavy pressure game on him in the second and third. And once Bryce Mitchell gets a hold of you, he's like a sticky grappler. He's one of these very sticky grapplers where it's just impossible to get out of his hold, right? And so I think that what we're going to see is Said Nurmagomedov head kick Bryce Mitchell early, clip him early, and Bryce has a pretty good chin on him. I think he's going to get out of some scrambles early, but I think he's going to gas out. I think Bryce Mitchell is going to get him down in the second, win the round with control time, and I think we're going to see rinse and repeat in the third round. All right, I think Bryce, even though he doesn't have the best gas tank, I think it's a better gas tank than Said, and I think Said will come crashing down. And Bryce Mitchell, if you don't finish him, the longer the fight goes, it's always going to favor him. That's kind of how I see it. I mean, look, he's been finished by Topuria. He's been finished by Gene Silva, but I don't think Said Nurmagomedov is at that level. Even though he's got lighter man skill, I don't know, man. He's not that, like, he's dangerous for these one-dimensional striker types, but I don't think he's that dangerous for a sticky grappler. Like we've seen, he can submit one of these short, stocky, blast double leg wrestlers, but Bryce Mitchell's not a blast double leg wrestler. He's got a good blast double leg, by the way. He's got good entries, but he's a sticky grappler. It's different. There's a lot of clinching inside Nurmagomedov fights, and I think that that's where Bryce Mitchell excels. And he's going to be strong in the bantamweight division. He had a tough time taking down Gene Silva, but Gene Silva is like a brick wall. He's literally one of the biggest featherweights on the roster, super fast and explosive as well, some of the best takedown defense. Said Nurmagomedov is a bit of a lanklet, right? Very skinny. I think Bryce is going to have a serious strength advantage, and if you give Bryce Mitchell a big strength advantage, I think his grappling is going to be even more ferocious. And he's not lacking in the skill. So I'm going with Bryce Mitchell by decision, second and third round. But I do think he's going to lose the first. I just think Said's going to gas. So let's get on to the next one. Nikita Krylov versus Bogdan Guskov. I'm going with Bogdan Guskov to KO Nikita Krylov in the first round. All right. I was hyping up Nikita Krylov going into that fight with Dominic Reyes, and I picked him by KO, and he is kind of like a poor man's Yuri Prochazka, but Bogdan Guskov is sort of like a poor man's Reyes. So we've got poor man's Reyes versus poor man's Yuri Prochazka. Well, how did that fight go between Yuri and Reyes? Yuri actually won, but this time I think Bogdan's bringing it home for Reyes. I just see Bogdan Guskov with his hands down style, sneaking in a non-telegraphed like right hand right on the chin of Nikita Krylov. He's very similar. Actually, you know what? He's actually kind of similar to Yuri, because Yuri sort of fights with his hands down, and it's hard to see the shots coming, and Yuri is really good at sneaking in a right hand that you don't see. So is Bogdan. I just think Bogdan's going to crack Nikita Krylov, and Nikita Krylov, before his last fight, he was out of the cage for 2 years. Did he really dust the cobwebs off by getting brutally KO'd in the first minute? Like, can we really say, oh, Nikita Krylov, he got his feet back under him and he's back, no more ring rust? Like, he got KO'd. How much can you really take away from that? Like, how much comfort did he really get into in that fight? So I think he's going to go in here just as ring rusted, but this time more worried, with a slightly more weathered chin. And Bogdan hits real hard. I don't even think Bogdan hits softer than Reyes. I think that Reyes is a pretty big puncher, but he's not like, the biggest puncher in the division. I think they have similar levels of power. Maybe we see Nikita Krylov get a takedown on Bogdan. I could see him mixing in the grappling and doing quite well. He's got a good submission game, but I just can't unsee Bogdan Guskov sleeping Nikita Krylov with a slick right hand. So I'm picking him to win this fight by KO. First round. Let's get on to the next one. Asu Almabayev versus Jose Ochoa. This is the new fight. It was supposed to be Tamirov that Asu Almabayev was fighting. Even though it's tempting to go with Jose Ochoa, who just knocked out Cody Durden and sort of styled on him on the feet, it's tempting to pick him because he had such a great performance on the feet, whereas Asu Almabayev got made to look like he had never struck before in his entire life when he fought Manel Kape. It really looked like Asu Almabayev was a jiu-jitsu nerd who never learned how to hit pads. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where I know Jose Ochoa is capable of lighting Asu Almabayev up, but it still is a big drop down in competition. And, Manel Kape, Jose Ochoa, there's quite a big difference in the level there. So I am going to go with Asu Almabayev. I do think that his striking will look better in this one because, again, this is not Manel Kape. Even if he can be at that level in the future, it's a second UFC fight. He still has to prove more to me in order for me to assume that he's on that level. And I also just think that Asu Almabayev's wrestling is going to be effective here. I mean, listen, Jose Ochoa, I picked him to win his debut. I knew he had good striking, but his wrestling's not all that proven. So I don't think that this guy has got like this really good sprawl game like Manel Kape, who is known for having good takedown defense, who's known for being difficult to take down and control. And Asu Almabayev, I mean, you look at his fights, you look at his wrestling style, he's able to get 10 takedowns in a fight. He's got decent control, he's got good cardio, he's very strong for this division, he's going to have a size advantage. I think he's going to get this one done by a boring decision. This is going to suck. This fight is going to absolutely suck. So I'm not really looking forward to it. Asu Almabayev is not the most entertaining fighter. So yeah, he's going to get this one done. It's going to be a bit of a stink fest. Let's get on to Sharon Magomedov versus Marc-Andre Barriault. I'm going with Marc-Andre Barriault. Okay? And I just think he's going to march forward, butt heads with Sharon Magomedov. They're going to lock horns, and Marc-Andre Barriault is going to... No, I'm just joking. I think Sharon Magomedov is going to school Marc-Andre Barriault and finish him in the second round. End of the second round, TKO for Sharon Magomedov. Listen, Marc-Andre Barriault, despite the fact that he got a KO in his last outing, I mean, he is not a KO guy. He's not got that much pop. He's got thud. He's the king of thud. He's actually one of the world's first marauders. If you guys didn't know, he's actually one of history's first marauders. But Sharon Magomedov is like the opposite of Marc-Andre Barriault, the opposite of what Marc-Andre Barriault wants to have in an opponent, which is a guy that's just going to sit there in the phone booth. Shara's going to be at range, and he's going to be kicking like a boxer throws hands. He's that comfortable when it comes to kicks. He can sit out of kicking range, and he can light you up with his front kick. He can light you up with leg kicks. He can double and triple up on kicks and make it look like he's throwing a effortless jab right hand hook, but he's doing it all with kicks. And his hand speed is not bad either. He doesn't have a lot of pop. Mind you, he's not hitting that hard, but I think he's going to overwhelm Marc-Andre Barriault so much I think it's going to force Marc-Andre Barriault in the second round to get ahead of himself and to cope with the fact that he's not having success at range, and he's going to really rush forward. And I think that's when Sharamagomedov is going to start cracking him really hard with knees up the middle, with hands, with big combinations. And I just see Marc-Andre Barriault folding. It's going to be a situation where he just takes an ass whooping. It continues to get worse, and he has to go out on his shield. Otherwise, he's just going to get destroyed in the second and third. He's not going to want to get absolutely destroyed for 3 rounds. He'll take a risk. He's one of these guys that's super tough. He's willing to take a risk. But I think that's going to be his downfall. He's going to get KO'd in the second round with something slick from Sharamagomedov. I think this is going to be a masterclass from Sharamagomedov. Let's get on to the next one. Petr Yan versus Marcus McGee. I'm going with Petr Yan. He's winning this fight, and I actually think it's going to be an easy fight for Petr Yan. Now, I'm not saying that it won't be somewhat competitive, but I think that this is a very simple fight. If anyone is picking Marcus McGee, it's because he's fast and he's slick, right? And he's a big bantamweight, Oh, yeah, everyone's on commentary. Marcus McGee's so massive for the bantamweight division. Okay, but he's got a simpleton's game, and he's not really using it to take you down. I mean, he's got 100% takedown defense, but who the fuck is grappling him? That's another thing. You look at Marcus McGee, and you're like, oh, this guy's a brick shithouse. He's got brick wall takedown defense, and he's super fast on the feet. But, like, I don't know. I'm seeing a guy that's a bit of a simpleton that's sort of stationary. I know Marcus McGee's not the most stationary guy. I don't know if stationary is the right word. He's a little stiff. And that's just not good when you're fighting someone as well-rounded as Petr Yan, who can shoot a takedown. And you're looking at the level of competition that Marcus McGee's fighting. I rewatched his fight with Jonathan Martinez, and sure, he looked good. I mean, he was running the Adesanya game on Jonathan Martinez. He was circling around the outside of the octagon, throwing kicks, circling around on the other side of the octagon, throwing kicks. Every now and then he would step in and throw a nice combination. But Jonathan Martinez fucking sucks on the feet. Jonathan Martinez literally did not throw more than 2 strikes for the first 4 minutes of the fight. And so I'm watching and I'm like, okay, Marcus McGee's pretty good, but it's also easy to look slick against someone that's literally fighting like a fucking heavy bag. Now, I know Petr Yan doesn't have the highest output early, but he's not a heavy bag, okay? Even in his last couple of fights in the first round, Petr Yan has done a good job of starting pretty fast and throwing output. And, you know, we talk about Marcus McGee. What does he do well? He's got really fast combinations, and he's got lightning fast kicks. Petr Yan has some of the best leg kick defense in the entirety of the sport. Like, Yan is so good at just stepping slightly back, just slightly getting out of the way of kicks. He doesn't even pick up his leg. He just scoots back a tiny bit, minimal effort. And he's able to evade like 80% of the kicks that his opponents throw. On top of that, Marcus McGee, he struggled with the leg kicks against Jonathan Martinez. And to be fair, Jonathan Martinez has some of the best leg kicks in the entire sport, but that's literally the only good thing he has going for him. But Petr Yan's leg kicks are phenomenal. And so I'm seeing Marcus McGee. He's really good at leg kicks, but I think that Petr Yan is a nightmare of a fighter to like bank on having a lot of success with leg kicks against because of how good he is at evading those leg kicks. And he's not always been that amazing at evading them, but he's gotten so much better as his career has progressed. I also think that Marcus McGee is facing a guy in Petr Yan who's not only got the super well-rounded striking game with these leg kicks, these body kicks, head kicks, flying knees, improved boxing. We haven't seen Petr Yan throwing as many uppercuts as he's doing these days. He's adding in these nasty uppercuts into his game. We know how lethal his combinations are. We know how slick his right hand is. On top of that, this guy can shoot a takedown and has some of the best entries in the UFC. I've said this for years, but Petr Yan is one of the most underrated wrestlers in MMA. I'm not saying he's a super dangerous grappler with this crazy submission game and amazing jiu-jitsu. I'm saying as a wrestler, takedown defense or takedown offense, he's almost as good as it gets in MMA. Not only does he have insanely good entries on takedowns for double legs, he's got amazing Osotogari trips that he can pull out. So Marcus McGhee, I just think this is a situation where he's taking a step up from heavy bag Martinez, who fucking sucks. Okay? Martinez was a leg kick only guy. Now, when I say he sucks, let me just preface it by saying this. Compared to Jan. Jonathan Martinez is a good fighter. He leg kick TKO'd Adrian Yanez. He's had a couple of leg kick TKO moments in his career. He did okay against Jose Aldo, but he's slow as a freaking tortoise with his hand speed. Let's just be honest. He's got no hands. He doesn't have good wrestling. He has okay mid-level output. He's got horrible boxing defense. So you're going from Gaston Bolaños, cans, JP buys, literal cans. And you're looking like, oh, he's like Adesanya against Jonathan Martinez. What does he have going for him against Petr Yan? Speed. As if we've not seen Petr Yan fight people with speed. This is what ultimately got me to bank on Petr Yan winning this fight. The Song Yadong fight. When I say Marcus McGhee is stiff, I mean like he's got this great speed. He's got really slick combinations when he lets his hands go. Absolutely. But Song Yadong is faster than Marcus McGhee. I watched Marcus McGhee versus Jonathan Martinez, immediately then watched Song Yadong versus Petr Yan, and Song Yadong is faster than him. And Song Yadong is a more kickboxy style of fighter, but again, his hand speed is a problem. And I think he's better at really extending with his punches, whereas Marcus McGhee is a guy that throws his punches in tight, right? Song Yadong, even though he doesn't have the longest reach, is really good at extending his punches, like throwing them from a rangy place. And I'm seeing Petr Yan evade the punches of Song Yadong. I'm seeing him get out of the way. I'm seeing him land early when we think of Yan as a slow starter. He arguably even won the first round against Song Yadong. And I don't think Jonathan Martinez is shooting takedowns. And ultimately, he's 35, guys. He's 35, okay? He's not winning this fight. So this is what I see happening. I think it's going to be close early on. I think the leg kicks, it's going to be tough for Marcus McGhee because he's got this very in-tight, close-range style. Petr Yan is a short guy. He doesn't have a long reach, but he fights with the ability of a rangy striker as well, with those kicks, the long body kicks, the long leg kicks, the head kicks. His defense is very good too. And he can pull out the takedowns. I think he's going to overwhelm the senses of Marcus McGhee. Marcus McGhee is going to go out there. He's going to be leg kicking. And he's going to be throwing some like tight combinations, some Speedy Gonzalez blitz combinations early. And Petr Yan is going to have a mid-level start, like a mid-output start. He's going to land some big shots to get respect from Marcus McGhee, maybe a takedown to mix it up. And as Yan gets warmed up in this fight at the end of the first round, second, third, I think there's going to be so much happening. Marcus McGhee is going to come melting down. It's going to be an overwhelming freak-out moment where Marcus McGhee is sitting there at range, switching. He's going to be, what's happening? This is not Jonathan Martinez. It's not Jonathan Martinez. And Petr Yan's going to be whipping up a spinning wheel kick to the head. He's going to be whipping up switch kicks to the body. And Marcus McGhee is going to be switching stances and leg kicking and missing half of them. And Petr Yan's going to be evading the leg kicks and stepping in with right hands and cracking them with the crafty right. And then he's going to be blitzing in with slick entries with his double legs. And he's going to be taking Marcus McGhee down, brick wall takedown defense. Against who? He's not proven fucking nothing against any wrestler. And Petr Yan is like the epitome of focusing on, you're going to focus on the striking because it's Petr Yan who's one of the best strikers in the sport. You've got no clue when the takedown's coming. You've got no idea. And you can't have your hands low fighting Yan. so that you're ready to sprawl. Like, Jan has such an advantage of being able to mix in the takedowns in this fight. And Marcus McGee is not this overwhelming avalanche pressure fighter. So he's not like Merab, who can push this inhuman pace, or Aljo that's going to shoot 20 takedowns as well. He's a striker with tight, in-close range boxing. And if Jan had like a mid-level chin, I would give Marcus McGee a much better chance. But Jan happens to have a really good chin as well. He happens to have one of the best chins in the bantamweight division. He can take a shot. He can take a fucking shot. And he's mean. And Marcus McGee, you know, another reason why I'm picking Jan is because Marcus McGee just seems like a nice guy. You know? Petr Yan, just a mean motherfucker. Whereas, you know, I could just see Marcus McGee and Jan doing well, and Jan's going to get pissed when Marcus McGee lands some shots early. And then Jan's going to start reveling in the fact that he's able to bully Marcus McGee in the second and third. He's going to start reveling in the fact that Marcus McGee is slowly wilting. That's going to give Jan a big boost in cardio, a big boost in energy. Because you know how Jan likes to bully people. Third round, Marcus McGee is going to be wide-eyed. He's going to be so overwhelmed by the tornado of techniques all over the place that are coming in his direction. He's going to be so overwhelmed that this is not some heavy bag Jonathan Martinez doing fuck all in front of him. And I think Jan's just going to bully the guy. So, yeah, let's go! I'm picking Jan by decision. Yeah, son, yeah! I'm picking Jan by decision, man. Woohoo! Jan's getting it done. I think he's going to win this 29-28. All that talk for 29-28, right? But, like, listen, guys. I think Jan hurts McGee. I think Jan's going to be patient. He's going to be landing some shots here and there. Marcus McGee may have slightly more volume early on and may edge out the first round via volume alone. But I think Jan bides his time, and I think Jan is going to hurt Marcus McGee. He's going to catch him off guard. Again, Marcus McGee's fast. He's not faster than Song Yadong. Rewatch the Song Yadong fight. Song Yadong hits harder than Marcus McGee, and he's faster, and he throws a rangier punch, which is an issue for Jan. So I'm going with Petr Yan. 29-28. Domination in the third round. It'll be a domination. So, yeah. And if Marcus McGee wins this, it's going to be one of the worst moments in my entire life as an MMA fan. Just letting you guys know. But yeah, I'm going with Petr Yan winning 2 rounds, maybe 30-27, but he'll definitely win the second and third. It's a simpleton's game that Marcus McGee has, and they just think he's too simple for the maestro. And it's not like he's getting that much better. Like, the guy's 35, okay? Let's get on to Robert Whittaker versus Reinier de Ridder. I can see Robert Whittaker getting bullied in this fight and getting drowned with the grappling. The only problem is I just could never pick that because I remember that Reinier de Ridder has only bullied 1 or 2 fighters. That's Kevin Holland, who we got a hold of in the first round and submitted. And I just don't think anyone's going to get Robert Whittaker out of there via submission early on, like Khamzat Chimaev did to him. I just don't think anyone else is going to be able to do that. Kevin Holland, every time he fights at middleweight, he's like a small fry. He doesn't have the lighter man skill. He's like the one guy that doesn't have lighter man skill. But ultimately, you can't bully Whittaker like you did Bo Nickel. You just can't. Like, not even Dricus du Plessis was able to break Robert Whittaker the way Reinier de Ridder broke Bo Nickel. Where after the first round, you could see when the bell rings, Bo Nickel has the face of someone that is totally defeated. Totally defeated. He doesn't care anymore. He's checked out. He has the fuck it mentality. You could see he's deeply disappointed in himself. And then in the second round against Reinier de Ridder, he has literally nothing for Reinier de Ridder on the feet. It looked like Bo Nickel was like someone in their trial class at a cardio kickboxing gym on the feet, where Reinier de Ridder was just moving forward, nothing to fear. Bo Nickel's out here just winging gassed out punches, feeling sorry for himself, and he bullies him with the knees in the clinch. And you could see Bo Nickel getting hit with the little uppercuts and smiling, and that's a cope smile. He had a cope smile on his face because he knew he was about to quit, and he was like, fuck it, are people going to think this is bad? I'm going to do it anyway. And he goes down to the knee. The problem is, even against Dricus du Plessis, who everyone's comparing Reinier de Ridder with, Dricus du Plessis is this guy who's got like unreal physicality. He's a tank. He hits like a truck. He's just going to barge into you and topple you over, and he's going to use his weight to hold you down and beat you up. Dricus du Plessis is one of those guys, right? He's got the tarred strength. And even after the first round, with Robert Whittaker and du Plessis, even after the first round, Robert Whittaker in the second round, first 30 seconds, is still fast. He still has his distance management. He still has his karate blitz. He's still cracking over the top. Keep in mind, Dricus du Plessis is a much better striker than Reinier de Ridder. Much better, much more dangerous. And Whittaker still has his mojo. Whittaker's still in there, tough, gritty, right? With the no-quit mentality. Even though he's been beaten up in the first round a little bit and he's been rocked a little bit, he's still out there. He's feeling gritty. He's feeling tough, right? Reinier de Ridder cannot do what he did to Bo Nickal against Robert Whittaker. He will not. If you're picking Reinier de Ridder, you're picking him based on the vibes. This is one of the biggest steps up in competition we've ever seen because, again, it's not just that Bo Nickal's much lower level when it comes to skill. He's got nothing to offer on the feet outside of a quick twitch, explosive overhand. But once you make him fight a little bit and expend energy, that explosive overhand, it's a lot more telegraphed. And when it comes down to tit-for-tat skill, Bo just doesn't have it. Whittaker has some of the best striking skill we've ever seen at middleweight. He's one of the fastest. He's amazing at managing distance, right? He's so good at catching you with the jab and catching you off guard with the right hand with his blitz. I mean, I just don't see Reinier de Ridder having a moment where even if he does get the better of Whittaker in the grappling here or there, if he doesn't finish him in the first round, Whittaker's still going to be out there in the second round, like making this guy pay every time he takes a step forward. And if Robert Whittaker gets submitted in this fight, then I think we have to say that this is the biggest fall off in skill in MMA history when it comes to having good takedown defense. And I'm not ready to bank on that being the case. He got done badly by Khamzat, but Khamzat Chimaev is one of the best submission artists, one of the most unstoppable wrestlers we've ever seen. And Reinier de Ridder is a solid grappler. He's got great strength on the ground, really good control. He's dangerous. He's got good submissions as well. But he's a slow poke kind of grappler. He's a guy that wades in and gets oldie and drags you down. Khamzat Chimaev jumps at you, and you're not ready for it, right? You've got your hands low, ready to have the underhooks, ready to sprawl, and Khamzat Chimaev, like, he is a centimeter off of the ground. His face is a centimeter off of the ground. That's how low his shot is. You're just not prepared for that. And then the lighter man skill with the Khamzat Chimaev level skill on the ground, it's overwhelming. And even then, you also got to assume that Whittaker's fixed his teeth. So even if Reinier de Ridder gets Whittaker in that position, this time he's going to have to get his arm under the neck of Robert Whittaker. So it's going to be even harder for him to get a submission. And as I said, when I talk about if Whittaker loses this via submission, that's going to be indicative of an indication of the biggest drop-off in skill we've ever seen. Because even though Khamzat Chimaev, and I picked Whittaker to beat Khamzat because I was banking on this explosive takedown defense that he's shown against Jacare, Derek Brunson, and Yoel Romero, even Kelvin Gastelum. Like, I think Whittaker's still going to have good takedown defense. Even if it's got slightly worse, I think it's going to be prepared for Reinier de Ridder. You may not be able to stop Khamzat, but I think he'll be okay against Reinier. Now, I am a little bit worried because Reinier de Ridder's the bigger guy, and I do think if he gets the clinch on Whittaker, he'll be able to bully him a little bit. But I don't see him finishing Whittaker with knees. Because the way he was closing distance on Bo Nickal was cowering away and getting tired, and Bo Nickal's got nothing on the feet. Zero at range striking. Zero. Whittaker, I just see this guy cracking Reinier de Ridder early and hard with extremely fast jabs. You're going to be hearing Whittaker, Whittaker's going to be doing his hi-ya Whittaker shit. where he's out there and he's like, hup, hup. Whitaker is going to do the ho-hos. He's going to be cracking Reynor de Ridder with big right hands, big gnarly rights. And Reynor de Ridder is going to come crashing forward. He's going to be looking like Jordan Santos. Or if you're a hardcore fan, you know what I'm talking about. He's going to be looking like the zombie Shavkat Rachmanov. And he's going to be getting lit up and cracked with crispy, Speedy Gonzalez, Whitaker-esque jabs. And I think Whitaker puts this man out. I'm going with a Whitaker TKO. Okay? I'm going with a Whitaker TKO. Now, you may say, who does Whitaker TKO? He TKO'd, what's his name? The Dagestani. He TKO'd Aliskerov. And to be fair, I think Reynor de Ridder's a better grappler than Aliskerov. I think he's slightly tougher than Aliskerov. But Aliskerov was, in my opinion, a better striker than Reynor de Ridder. And if you think about all the people that Whitaker hasn't been able to put out, we're talking a lot of elite level strikers, right? I mean, Costa is a better striker than Reynor de Ridder. I'm not going to say that he's that elite, but he's actually pretty good. And in hindsight, after his last performance, I mean, he actually did pretty well against Whitaker. That was like a good version of Costa as well. But we're also talking Adesanya. We're talking Darren Till, Calvin Gastelum, who's known for having a really good chin. But when Whitaker fights people that are mid on the feet or lower than mid on the feet, he ends up schooling them. Marvin Vettori, slow, kind of mid on the feet. Whitaker schools Marvin Vettori, right? Who else are we talking? Ikram Aliskerov. I mean, he's pretty good on the feet. Whitaker knocked him out. It's when Whitaker fights these pretty elite level strikers that are super tough where he can't necessarily finish them. But you go back to early on in his career when he had a bunch of finishes. You get to Jacare and Derek Brunson. And Derek Brunson's dangerous on the feet, but he's not that elite on the feet. And I think that when you have someone in front of Whitaker that's sort of first and foremost grappler with shit striking, I think that's actually where he excels. And the big difference here is that this is not Yoel Romero or it's not Dricus du Plessis. I mean, the one problem with Reynor, the thing that he's missing to go with that pressure wrestling, the pressure grappling, is being fast and dangerous on the feet. He's just not. He's going to have a reach advantage, which could be good for him. He's going to have a 78-inch reach, which is a big advantage over Whitaker. But Whitaker's dealt with a reach disadvantage in the past. I mean, we saw him arguably beat Adesanya with a big reach disadvantage. He was cracking Izzy with not even jabs, but like step-in lead hooks. So if there's anyone that can deal with a reach disadvantage, it's a guy with a karate blitz style. But on top of that, the reason why I can't rely on Reynor de Ridder to bully Whitaker is because he doesn't have the striking to be able to close that distance and mog Whitaker. Dricus du Plessis, he may not be the same grappler as Reynor, although he's a great grappler, but he's similar in that he's very strong, he's big, he's physical, and he's a good grappler. The difference is Dricus is like very fast on the feet. Dricus has dynamite in his hands, and so when he's on the feet, he can be just fine. He's not a sitting duck with slow poke striking. Same thing with Yoel Romero. Yoel Romero has the ability to like knock you out at any moment. And he's super fast and explosive. And so you got to respect that. But Reynor de Ridder, man, he's just not got nothing going on at range. Like, he's good in the clinch, but that's kind of it. And that's why I picked him to do well against Bo Nickel in the clinch. Because I saw his past fights in ONE FC, and he's got pretty good elbows, he's got good knees, and he's very tough, he's very gritty. But I just think that Whitaker's one of these guys where even if he loses moments in the clinch, he's still going to be able to eventually get out of the clinch, circle back to the center of the octagon, and start finding his shots. And I just think if de Ridder's getting popped around by Gerald Meerschaert, I think he's going to get blitzkrieged by Robert Whitaker jabs and right hands. And so I'm going to go with Whitaker winning this via first round KO. I think it's a huge step up in competition. Reynor de Ridder is going from fighting one of the bottom tier middleweights in Bo Nickel to a top 5 staple in the middleweight division. I still think Whitaker's top 5 staple in that division. I think that he's right there with Baralho, with Strickland, with Imavov. Even if he's slightly declined, I still think he's basically right there. I think the only guys that are better than him are Khamzat, Dricus, maybe a Mavov, right? But I think he's right at that Beraljo, a Mavov level, basically. And I think Reynor de Ritter, I think he's top 15, arguably top 10 level. But again, this is a different thing. It's a different thing. And I'm not about to just pick against Whittaker because I saw Khamzat Chimaev, who is the most unstoppable grappler that we've ever seen in the heavier weight classes, who has this next level quick twitch ability to shoot a takedown that you just can't stop with this insane submission game that, you know, Reynor de Ritter's a great grappler. He's not at the Khamzat level. And then again, Reynor de Ritter has no threat that those Dricus du Plessis types have on the feet. He just doesn't have it. He's got all the toughness without any of the danger on the feet at range. And I think he's a sit and duck. And I think that if you're going to beat Robert Whittaker if you're going to take him down, you got to have the explosive grappling. You have to have the quick twitch grappling. Reynor de Ritter has the slow man's grappling, right? He's got the jiu-jitsu guy grappling. Whereas once he gets a hold of you, he's a sticky grappler. He's like Bryce Mitchell. He's very sticky, sticks to you. But he's not one of these, like, you know, Dricus du Plessis types, where Dricus du Plessis is sort of fumbling around in the octagon. All of a sudden, he gets a hold of you and he realizes that he can just, in the flip of a switch, hit you with a quick twitch judo toss. Right? So yeah, I'm going with Whittaker. Early TKO. I think the skill gap is going to be so evident on the feet. And yeah, you're bullying Bo Nickel, and now everyone thinks he's going to go out there and bully Robert Whittaker. Oh, wow, we saw Whittaker get destroyed by Khamzat. That means Reynor de Ritter is going to go from beating Bo to Whittaker? And he's got no threat on the feet at range? It's just not going to happen. Go watch the Dricus du Plessis fight. Whittaker was lighting up Dricus du Plessis. The only thing is that Whittaker doesn't have heavy hands, and so Dricus du Plessis can eat those shots, but he's got good striking in his own right. We just saw him outstrike Sean Strickland, for goodness sakes. Saw him stand toe-to-toe with Adesanya. Reynor de Ritter's getting pieced up by GM3. All right? So yeah, I got Robert Whittaker winning this. TKO, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Until next time.